Hi everyone, welcome back to Yoga in Real Life. I wanted to make another vlog that kind of talked about things that I found to be useful in prepping for labor, during labor and delivery, and then kind of in the hospital things that I thought were important to have. So let's go ahead and get started. So I would like to firstly say that I'm not getting paid for any of this. These are all things that I just found really helpful. I don't have any endorsement brands, maybe one day. But also always check with your doctor. Before I did any of these things, I made sure to talk with my OB or my midwife to ensure that there would be nothing that could go wrong for my natal man. So always check. But these are things that I found useful and helpful. The things that I did to kind of prepare for labor is I did a ton of yoga. I did a ton of bouncing on the yoga ball, a ton of hip circles, pretty much my entire pregnancy, which makes sense. I am a yoga instructor, now at least. And then starting in the third trimester, I started drinking red raspberry leaf tea. I ended up drinking probably 2 to 3 bags of it a day, so 2 to 3 cups. It's something that a lot of women recommend. They say that it helps tone your uterus, it helps make delivery fast. I did go to labor early, and I did have, from start to finish, a 10-hour labor, which for a first baby is pretty darn fast. I don't know if the things that I did actually made a difference, or if that's just what was meant to be. You never know. I'm not going to have anything to compare it to, and I don't have anything to compare it to, but maybe it was a placebo effect, maybe it did actually help, but I did start drinking it starting at 28 weeks. I asked my OB about it. He said, it's not going to do anything for you, but it's not going to hurt. I thought it tasted good, so for me, regardless of what happened, it was kind of a yummy tea to drink every day. And I actually did drink it in labor. I read one of the doula books. They said that it helped if you're in labor to continue and progress labor. So I did drink a cup of it while I was in labor again. I don't actually know if it helped, but regardless, it was good for hydration, so take what works for you. The other thing I did is at 37 weeks, I started evening primrose oil. Some people recommend putting it vaginally. I asked my midwife about it. She said she would never recommend sticking anything in there that late in labor, or that late in pregnancy, but she didn't think that it would cause any harm to take it orally, but she definitely recommended to wait till 37 weeks. I went into labor like 3 days after I started taking it, so again, I don't know if that was it, if that was just something that was already going to happen. I don't know. Always talk to your doctor before you start anything, but it's something that I chose to use, and I feel like I had a pretty good experience, so who really knows. Let's see what else. So magnesium calm is something I drink throughout my whole pregnancy. It helps with sleep, the leg cramps. It also helps in labor, both you and your spouse, to kind of keep calm. So I drank some of that during labor. Hot pack. Hot pack was hugely helpful. I had really bad back labor, and so having a hot pack for my husband to hold against my lower back was very beneficial. We only used it while we were at the house, not once we got to the hospital, but once I got to the hospital, things got a little crazy, so I don't even think it would have done anything. Doula. So I hired a doula, and I realize that there's a pandemic right now, so if you're giving birth soon, you might not have the opportunity to have a doula, which is really crappy. But if you do have the option, I highly recommend it. I remember it's pretty expensive, but when we first hired the doula, she came a few times before to go over labor positions, what to expect, and I had already read 4 books on the topic and written my birth plan and all this, and my husband kept being like, why do we spend money on this? You did all this research yourself. But then labor happened, and he's worth every penny. And what made it so great is that they're there just for you. They are not there for medical advice, they're there for you. And so she was really good about being like, okay, your contraction's about to start, let me get some oils, let me put some counter pressure on your hips. Whereas my husband, who was very supportive, he had no frame of reference for this. He couldn't tell when a contraction was coming or what would make it feel better. So that's one of the places she was really helpful. And then the other place is to make sure that our wishes were respected. So I had a really great team of midwives, and the facility I went to had midwives and OBs, and my midwives and my nurses were great. When I checked in the hospital, they went over my birth plan with me. I had a written copy and a photocopy, and they were really great about listening to kind of what I wanted out of it. But she was there just to make sure that if something went wrong, she could advocate for us, especially if my husband was distracted, or we decided to delay cord clamp as well as store the cord blood and the cord. And at one point they had taken the cord away. And so she was there to be like, hey, I think you should go follow up about that. My husband went to make sure that they didn't dispose of it. And she was there to take care of me while he was gone. So it was just nice having someone else. And Having a mom or a relative or something like that there is also helpful, but for me, we kind of needed a third party, like a not related party, and I fully recommend it. So that's pretty much all I did for getting ready. The other thing I did, obviously, is pack a bag. I'm me, so I had my bag packed at 28 weeks. And I kind of added and tweaked some things as I got closer and I talked to friends. I had quite a few friends who were having babies the months leading up to when I was due, so it was nice to hear kind of their perspective and things that they needed. I remember my parents were coming to look at houses in the state we live in, and we went down to visit them at 37 weeks, and I brought everything I could possibly need. And my mom was like, "Did you bring your whole house?" And I was like, "Listen, what if I go into labor? I'll be at a new hospital. I want everything." And then 3 days later, my son was born, so I'm glad I always came prepared. But if you're someone who doesn't like to plan ahead, that is totally fine if that's what works for you. But I kind of viewed it just like a vacation. I wanted to start preparing ahead of time so that when the time came, I wasn't running around, I didn't forget anything. So things to have in the hospital. I am very OCD, and I was really uncomfortable with the idea of wearing someone else's like gowns and clothes. So I went on Amazon and I bought this labor and delivery gown. I think it was 20 bucks. Kind of cute, has a tie. There are snaps at the top, so you can kind of like easily unsnap the straps if you wanted to breastfeed or for skin on skin. And then there are snaps all the way down the back. So this way the nurses and midwives still had easy access if they needed, but I was in my own clothes. I fully recommend it. Anything that will make you feel comfortable at the hospital is important, and this made me feel comfortable. I liked the snaps up here because then as soon as my son was born, I could just unsnap them and have him chest on chest without having to kind of like take my arms out. So I thought it was really useful. I also brought my own pajamas, so as soon as I was able to get up and change, because obviously that gown got a little dirty, I put on my own pajamas. I got one of those nursing pajamas. It was like crisscross so that you could easily nurse. Super comfortable. I think it was $10 on Walmart. And then again, I was comfortable. I was in my own clothes. Even though I was somewhere new or different, I still felt kind of comfortable. Along those lines, a nursing bra is very beneficial. Once you are nursing, you realize the importance of sleeping in a bra. Target has some really great ones. I got the Auden nursing bra, super comfortable. Helps kind of keep everything in place. Maybe bring some nursing pads. I still leak, so I recommend having those because when your milk first comes in, it's kind of intense. So those are all things to kind of make you feel comfortable and better in the hospital. One of the other things I did is my doula recommended kind of decorations for the room, things that would inspire me, and so not only did I bring like essential oils and a diffuser and like books and things to do during labor, what she recommended is having everyone in my life, all the women in my life, write kind of these inspirational cards for me and hang it up as a banner. So this was our labor and delivery room. I don't know if you can see that. Those are from my baby shower. Women, all the people in my life kind of wrote out these cards, and they say like, keep going, your little boy's so excited to meet you, stuff like that. And it was just nice having that extra reminder there. As for the books and diffusers and oils, by the time I got to the hospital, I was already well into active labor, and so I wasn't in that point of getting to sit and do any of that. And so I really wished we had just left it in the car. So one of the things I would do differently and I would recommend is kind of having a what if bag, and so having a bag with all of those things in case you're bored, if you want essential oils, if you need something to do, but having it in a bag where you can leave it in the car, because I just felt like it gave us too much stuff to carry in and out of the hospital when we never even used any of it. Just something to consider. One of the things that I didn't think about that one of my friends told me about was to bring stuff for your hubby, like blanket sheets and pillows. We were already going to bring our own pillows because you just want to be comfortable, and everyone knows how bad hospital pillows are. But I hadn't really thought about blankets and sheets for my husband or your spouse, because they provide the bed, so you kind of assume that everything comes with it. But I'm so glad that my friend told me, because when we got to the hospital, they gave him one sheet to put on it, and that was all. So I'm really glad that we had blankets for him and things to keep him warm, because hospitals are always cold. And again, comfortable. He didn't go through labor, but he's still in a new place too. We're just becoming parents. It's still a new adventure. So it was good to have the things that made him comfortable as well. Other things for you, for mamas, I really loved having a corset. I got one of the Belly Bandits. It was just a Velcro corset. Some people say it helps shrink your uterus and put everything back together. I just loved it for the support. As soon as I was able to get up and change, I put this on, and it felt so nice to kind of have some compression to hold it all in. I had no ab strength, and so this kind of helped with that. It helps bring attention and then just keep everything in and compressed. I put it on right away. I ended up sleeping in it for a few weeks, and I wore it consistently, probably 6 to 8 weeks postpartum. But I remember the first day I got a shower after delivering my son, I took it off, and I felt like all my guts just like exploded out and shifted. And it was really nauseating, so I was really glad to have that because I felt like it just made me feel more comfortable. It kept everything kind of in place and gave me one less thing to worry about. So something to consider. There are lots of great options out there. They are kind of expensive, but I totally think it's worth it. What else? Clothes for baby. I brought a ton of different clothes for my son, and only one thing truly fit him. So they had told me my whole pregnancy that he would be this like super big baby, so I only brought one newborn outfit. Everything else was bigger clothes. Well, he was 7 pounds 5 ounces and didn't fit in any of those bigger clothes. So I would suggest bringing probably 3 or 4 outfits in all different sizes. I'd make sure that you have kind of everything. I had a friend who had the opposite experience. They brought only newborn clothes. Their daughter ended up being bigger. So it's just something to think about. Have a variety so that's one less thing you have to worry about. I also remember I put a lot of pressure on myself to find like this perfect coming home outfit. He didn't even fit in it, and at the end of the day, it didn't matter. We were all exhausted but excited to get home, so it ended up being one of those things that I worry about for no reason. Nipple cream. So if you are planning on nursing, which is an incredible experience, highly recommend it, your nipples are going to have a rough time. So it was one of those things that I kind of thought you would only use nipple cream if you needed it. I didn't really think about it to kind of prevent pain. So I ended up having really, really, really painful nursing for a while. My nipples were cracked and sore and bleeding. My son had a really strong latch. And I didn't have nipple cream because I didn't really think about it until later. So nipple cream, and then I ended up buying Nipple Shield as well. So again, just prepare for anything. Have those things that you know will make you feel better and kind of will help with the pain. But I highly recommend nipple cream. I used it religiously up until like 10 months postpartum. So definitely good to have. Along the lines of comfort, let's talk about poo real quick. Let's get super TMI. I had talked to a few people about the first poop after giving a birth. Heard it was pretty rough, so I was like, I want stool softeners. My plan was to bring them. I ended up not bringing them, so I remember I asked the nurse for it, and she was kind of like, okay, sure, gave me a stool softener, and then like 6 hours later, I was like, hey, can I have another stool softener? And she was like, you're not required to poop before you leave the hospital. And I was like, listen, I am very regular. I'm someone who always goes multiple times a day. So I'm like, it's not a requirement of the hospital, but I was like, my body's going to need to go. And I don't want it to hurt. And she was like, okay, okay. And I 100% support that decision. I was on stool softeners probably till 6 weeks postpartum. I got cleared. It was safe for nursing. It made a huge difference. It kind of just makes it so it just slides out on its own. I cannot imagine having to push after everything your body goes through, so highly recommend stool softeners. Think about it. The other thing that you definitely are going to want is shower stuff, even though you probably will only shower once or twice because you're usually not there that long. They don't provide anything, so you need shampoo, conditioner, face wash, toothpaste, chapstick, any toiletry items. I just felt like it helped me feel more like myself. So you just went through this crazy experience and you're kind of adjusting to the fact that your child's no longer inside of you. And I liked being able to shower and be like, okay, I smell like myself. You know, I brush my teeth, I clean my face. And even if you only use it once, again, it's another way to make you feel more comfortable kind of in the situation. Same for your spouse. Make sure you have everything for them. Phone chargers, chapstick, all of that kind of stuff. Again, it's all about comfort. You're in this totally new situation. You want to make sure that you feel comfortable with where you are. Let me think if I missed anything else. Oh, one of the things that people told me to bring that I totally didn't use was my boppy. I just felt like when you're already in this bed with pillows and you're propped up, I just felt like it was too much. You know, my son was still really small and I felt like he was too little for it. So I feel like I probably used it once in the hospital. So that's another thing, maybe add it to that bag of maybe, maybe not. Because I just felt like it was another bulky thing to carry that I didn't really use. And honestly, even postpartum, I used it more to sit on because I had a lot of stitches. So I used it more to make sitting comfortable than I did to nurse my son with. And then we use it like to prop him up. So we ended up using it, but I bought it at TJ Maxx for 20 bucks. Definitely recommend that because it is overpriced. I think that's all I have. I'll do another vlog that kind of talks about early postpartum, things that I wish I knew, had been prepared for, things to make sure your house is ready for, stuff like that. I also wanted to see if you guys would be interested in maybe kind of a Q&A with my husband, like kind of asking from a male's perspective or a spouse's perspective how it was to watch their spouse go through labor, things that they wish they had been prepared for, things that surprised them or they enjoyed or stuff like that. So leave a comment, let me know if that's something you'd be interested in and if you have any questions. And maybe we'll film that at a later date for all of the spouses. Also, feel free to let me know what you found helpful in a hospital. When did you pack your bag? When did you go into labor? What things did you do to get ready for labor and delivery? I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for showing up today. I appreciate you taking the time to visit my channel and watch this video. Look out for more postpartum videos and also more yoga videos. I hope to see you on your mat soon.